Wednesday Campanella are back with even more weirdness and depth and catchiness than we're used to from even them. Let's break it down. Hi there and welcome back to Japan, where I'm finally getting around to talking about the song, I think it's AKAZUKIN by Wednesday Campanella. Even if I'm bad at remembering song names, I'll tell you what, I cannot forget this song and video. This was a really interesting one, and there's three things that I really want to talk about here, which is the video, the song itself, and the lyrics. Yeah, we're going to talk about the lyrics today a little bit, which we don't usually do. Just so you know, although I usually only talk about music on this channel, I do now have a new channel where I'm actually learning about lyrics and looking into the lyrics of all the songs that I'd never read before, because I'm a music guy. I care about the notes more than the words. I'm catching up with that on my channel, Lyric Learner. Do check it out. Hopefully it's linked in the description below. If not, it'll be on the channel tab of this channel. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get into talking about this song by first of all talking about the music. Like most Wednesday Campanella songs, we're looking at a mixture of really a hip-hop sort of vibe in the verses, a good catchy chorus, or at least an interesting refrain they always go for, and the production, which is really key to it all. Now, as has been the case throughout when it comes to the hip-hop, we've got some brilliant vocal performances. Now, one of the things that I thought was really interesting, comparing the vocals we get these days with what we had with Komi before, is just how similar the vocal style is. I love the fact that they've not really tried to sort of reinvent things when changing singer. However, I've said she's fantastic. She's just such a brilliant lead artist, and I love the way that she throws into those sort of offbeat rap bits as well. As much as we get the brilliant sort of flow and rhythm, it's just also the way that she's able to do those bits, which is more just sort of, it sounds like suddenly she's talking, like just gone into a bit of attitude, like, hey, wait a second, I had a thought. I love those bits where she breaks away from the rhythm and just starts talking almost, and then just knows how to step back in. Everything is beautifully constructed to both sound almost like it's off the cuff, and yet at the same time be so knowingly, beautifully laid out. So the rap, absolutely fantastic as always, and we get a chorus here which is actually genuinely quite nice. It's simple, but it's catchy. It goes round, doesn't do anything particularly complicated, but it's a nice refrain, nice reward. That's what you want from a good chorus after all. You want it to be that bit where when you come round to it each time, a tension will relaxes and you just get to enjoy it. Oh, this is the bit which is catchy, I can sing along to. The chorus does that. Is it going to be like a number one memorable chorus you'll remember forever? Probably not, but it certainly is very catchy at the time. And yeah, I've been listening to this song a few times now over the last couple of weeks, and certainly every time I listen to it, it's stuck in my head a good hour or so afterwards at least. When it comes to the production though, that's a big one. Now with Wednesday Campanella, they've always kind of erred towards a slightly more minimalist approach, and again that's what we get here. However, what I really love about it is whereas minimalism can sometimes be a bit of a swear word in the eyes of people who love music construction, because a lot of the time it's just common denominator, Wednesday Campanella are the masters of making minimalism sound interesting with different approaches. Now what I like here is that this is very sort of chilled out. It's one of the more chilled out songs where we got a lot of very smooth sounds. Everything's very relaxed. The bass is really, really thick, but it kind of sits underneath everything. It's not so much a pumping bass. It kind of swells. And you know, there's nothing here which particularly sounds like it's punching you, but at the same time, everything has depth and impact. The bass is low, but it's not particularly aggressive. The drum beat is sort of nice and very fluid, but on the bits where it's moving faster, it's very sort of light and tappy. You know, nothing about this feels like it's trying to hit you, so you get to enjoy it, and yet there's also a lot of kinetic things happening. But where this gets really interesting is towards the top layer around the vocals. Now yes, as usual, we get a very central vocal that we can listen and follow to, but in the choruses we have a sort of a held note underneath where the vocals have been layered. We're kind of getting a one-person choral section, which is really nice, gives a smoothness to everything, and then also we get a sort of sample voice run through like a keyboard effect. I'm not going to say a vocoder, but like when you put vocal samples into a keyboard, or you sort of just DJ mix them if you want. It's nice that there's a lot of layers of vocal being used here. We're hearing a lot of voice produced sounds creating the overall production, the overall sort of timbre of this song, and it makes it sound weirdly personal. You know, when a lot of the sounds you're hearing are voices or sort of adaptations of the human voice, it does make the song overall sound quite personal. It gives it a feeling of personality, and again, the production here just works. It's smooth, it's interesting, it's a little bit different, nothing we've never heard before, but it just works at setting up the mood of the song. And talking of mood, we're going to talk about the lyrics. Now, as I mentioned, years ago, I got into Wednesday Campanella first of all just because of the fact that I loved the music, and also loved the rap. I loved the flow of the rap, and as I say, I love the fact they kept that the same even when changing singers. But what really is interesting, and as I've found in recent years, is that the lyrics and often the designs of various songs in Wednesday Campanella songs, they're talking a lot about either history or legends. They take a lot of historic things and they turn those into songs. They get their inspiration from really interesting places, and I love that. I love the fact that it's more than just let's just talk about relationships for the 100th time. Yes, what they do manage to do is they take those songs and they use them to sort of frame and almost use a metaphor sometimes for, if you like, more contemporary issues, and that's what we'll get onto a bit here. But definitely on my other channel, Lyric Learner, I promise I will be doing a lot of Wednesday Campanella because I'm really interested to read a lot of their lyrics and sort of react to them. So that will be something that will be coming up. Please do sub to that channel. Shameless self-promotion. But talking of this song, it is doing very much a it's the Little Red Riding Hood, isn't it? Almost, I was trying to think which story is it of someone going through the woods? Is it the Three Bears? No, it's not that. Is it the Gingerbread House? It's not that. There's a lot of story, a lot of these stories about kids going through the woods and finding houses. Anyway, this is the Little Red Riding Hood story. But here, what we get is a story where she goes through the front door and she immediately sees, in the lyrics, she sees the wolf in sheep's clothing, the wolf pretending to be her grandmother, and very immediately clocks it. And the lyrics are more about her dressing. Well, look, I can see that this is not real. I can see this is fake, and looking to see, is this a camera? Am I being pranked? But okay, I guess I'll just play along. And it's that feeling of playing along with someone who's faking. And from that point, especially in the second verse, it develops this sense that we're talking more about people who fake, and is this really gonna help you? Is this fake it till you make it attitude really white one that works? Is it one that's really wise to follow? And I love how that is the message of the song. That's the thing that she's thinking about, the thing that she's talking about here, and it really does sort of develop beautifully and organically in the lyrics. And it starts to talk about, I think, a lot about the celebrity attitude of people wanting to become famous but being a bit fake. And this is particularly interesting because as a person, as a singer, as a personality, she comes across as so flamboyant, but at the same time very real. Nothing about her seems fake at all, even though she looks so designed. Her whole image is kind of like the Kyary Pammy Pammy thing. When we first saw Kyary Pammy Pammy, everyone thought, well, that's very over the top. But as we got to see her personality, it's like, no, she's actually just like that. So I thought this was a very interesting choice of lyrics to talk about the difference between people who are fake and not being fake, and maybe it's just better to be yourself. And one of the lines that I really liked is when she was talking about, basically maybe you can do better next time if you get a next time. Maybe this is your only shot. And it's that idea, if you only get one shot at becoming famous or achieving the things you want, would you rather do that being yourself or being something that you think people want? So I think that this was a nice sort of extended metaphor. Lyrically brilliant. Just really enjoyed this song. So last but not least, I did want to quickly address the video because the video was really interesting. Yeah, it does seem to get a little bit disjointed at places. I mean, there were some weird things, like I felt like some of the so we get her as a character following this mission. She's reading messages that sometimes don't seem to sync up exactly with what's happening in the story. The wolf in sheep's clothing is literally in sheep's clothing, but then we also see the grandmother seemingly as a separate character. There's even a frame at the beginning where they appear to spell the band name wrong, which I thought was a little bit unusual. But those things all aside, even if it wasn't necessarily, it did seem to have some weird moments. This was a really good video in pretty much every other metric. It combined several styles. We had a sort of a storybook style, which matches the Little Red Riding Hood element. We had an anime style production, which permeates a lot of the story, which had a little bit of a cyberpunk feel as well, which really reminded me of when we did live chat in Virtual Akihabara a couple of weeks ago. That was cool. And then on top of that, we also had a video game aspect where it looks like a little bit of a role-playing video game, a sort of a, it's not Farmville, is it? But the one with the little animal characters who live in a village, a little bit like that. And then we had the actual live action stuff, because at first I was thinking, did they just make this video because, you know, they were busy and they didn't have time to do a real video? No, it was all intentional. You know, they actually get the live action parts of the video as well. I loved how that was all put together. It made the simple storyline much more interesting because it's flipping between art styles, and yet each art style was beautifully conceived. The bits where you've just got her, obviously her personality shines through as always. She eats up the screen. I'm really glad to see that she's got acting jobs now. She's doing her first acting role coming up soon. Really glad for that, because she's just so good at eating up the scenery. The anime stuff, obviously brilliant. You know, Japan, of course, they're gonna they're good at that style. The video game stuff I thought was really interesting. I really liked that, because a lot of the time it just sort of, it was very good at telling the like a narrative structure in the way that a video game would, little conversation bubbles coming up, things, but still had a lot of personality. And then of course capping things off with the storybook style just kind of gave it a little bit more of a little bit of a narrative conclusion. So I really liked the video. I thought it was really well done. It did seem a little bit disjointed in line with the story that lyrics were telling, but still I really did think it was great, and I enjoyed watching it multiple times. So in conclusion, Wednesday Campanella keep on being the powerhouse of cool, interesting production, cool choruses, nice rap, personality, ideas, you know, and at the same time doing lyrically different things. This is just a group who I think, even if you're not into their musical style, you've just got to appreciate. I think we should just be so glad to have a group like this in existence, and they bring a smile to my face every single time as well. This was a fantastic single. I really enjoyed it. I'm always excited to see what comes out next from Wednesday Campanella, but a song like this as well, I think this was like this is certainly one of the highlights of the recent songs, but every single Wednesday Campanella song is good on some level, but this was a real highlight. I enjoyed it, super catchy. I can't wait to listen to this more and more over, and not just because of the chorus, just because there's so many things to get your teeth into. So anyway, those are my thoughts. As always, get in the comments, tell me what you think. Do remember, if you want to see me analysing more lyrics, you can go over to my other channel, The Lyric Learner, like and subscribe to that, like and subscribe to this. Just keep on following me as I talk about music, please. YouTuber. And until I hopefully see you in Japan very soon for the next one of these, for now, ciao ciao.